What's going on? I hope you're all well. I want to start this video off by saying this isn't something I usually make. I don't know what way to even open this video. I don't know what's going to come from this video. I don't know. All I know is what I want to accomplish through this video, and it's hopefully to make you think, hopefully encourage a bit of unity that we just don't have in the world right now. It's a type of video I wanted to make for a while. Thoughts that I've been pondering when I'm alone. Sometimes I've got them out when I'm in conversation with people, not fully the way I'd like to articulate it. Sometimes I can. I had a call with my friend earlier and I was able to really get it out of my head. Not fully, just a little bit of it. And I feel a lot more clear. I stopped smoking weed. I've been off it for a few days now, which isn't loads, and I did smoke it a good bit over my formative years. And this isn't a video to encourage you to stop smoking it. Smoke it all you want. I probably will smoke it again. I definitely will at some point, but not in the near future. I need a bit of clearness in my head. I need clarity. That's what I need. I need clarity. And I feel like I've found a lot of clarity within myself over the last year of making my videos and finding myself as an artist and finding who I am underneath everything, you know what I mean, through all the experiences I've had, through all the conversations I've had, through all the, I don't want to say the program would be the word. I had a different word in my head before the programming came out, but yeah, the ideals and the thought processes that I would have inherited, whether it be from family, whether it be from teachers, people, friends, anything. I've just tried to go behind that. Where does this thought come from? Where does this opinion come from? What does it mean? Why do I think this way? Do I really think this way? A lot of that. So enough yapping. I'm gonna kind of get into the video. Something kind of beautiful. I don't know if beautiful is the word, but I find it beautiful. I haven't written that in my journal for a few that in my journal. It was a bit weird. I'm trying to speak a bit more clear, a bit more concise. So if it's all over the place in this video, I don't mind that. But basically, I hadn't wrote my journal. I wrote my journal for a good few days, and when I turned it over to write the next page, I thought it was going to be a lot more pages left. But funny enough, I was on to the last page, so I was writing down the video talking points. So it's just a few talking points. I don't have a script for this. I'm going off script. I just have basically a few things I want to speak about. But I wrote on the very last page. It's not, one of the line pages. You can't really see that. It's inverted, but new chapter begins. And I think this is the perfect time to make this video, as people who've watched my channel for a good while, they know my dream is to be a movie star and a rock star. They were my dreams before I started my journey, and the two dreams that are coming to reality. I'm in the making of my first song. It's not a rock song, but we're getting there. And I'm about to film for my first time in a movie tomorrow, which I'm the lead role in. So, it's the start of a new chapter in my life, a new period where I finally get to chase them dreams and I'm bringing them to reality. But enough about me. I want to talk about a few different things that we can all relate to. I'm not sure what I've titled this video yet, but I do have a lot of things I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is the genontocracy. So it's only a new word I learned, and it's a thing I've believed for a good while. I'm very interested in politics and just what's going on in the world, whether that be geopolitics or what's going on in my home country, Ireland. And a problem I've always seen with the leaders, especially, which would be the politicians and whoever controls them, but we're not going to get into that right now. Genontocracy is basically the divide, so I'm only have to learn the word, but it's basically the older generation who are in control, and the kind of sense of separation from the people who will feel the consequences of the decisions they've made. I don't know, you can correct me in the comments if I'm not correct with that, but basically there's a lot of old farts in charge right now, and they don't care about the future, they don't care about our future. The only thing they care about is building up resources for themselves for their time on the earth, and they're making decisions, whether it be the advancements through AI, technology, all different things for their benefit, and they're not thinking about the future. Me, myself, I really want to have a big family. I grew up an only child. I've no siblings. I look at some of my friends like siblings. I look at my cousins as siblings. But I really want to build a family. And at the moment now, 25, I'm getting towards the years where you'd usually want to start making a family. I would love to have kids a bit early. But I wouldn't want to bring kids into the world until I'm fully set as a person. Or I have I don't want to say it as like I'm like financially stable enough to bring them in. Is basically what I'm trying to get at. And I think right now the people in control, they're not out for our benefit, they're out for their own benefit. And I have this kind of fantasy in my head. I'm Gen Z, as I said, I'm 25, born in 2001. I'm just seeing a bit of a cult, because at the moment a lot of people are falling into nihilism. They just see no hope, and that's accelerated through social media. When you click onto your phone, you're going through social media, and it's just problem. Not all of social media is a problem, and social media can be good in a lot of ways, but right now it's just fear mongering, problem, no solution. And I have this kind of thought in my head. Originally, I made a video last year when I was only getting started my creative journey, the Irish Renaissance, whatever one it is. But I do see a Renaissance coming, and I believe our generation can be the ones to turn this world around. With the rise of AI, everybody's just seeing doomsday. With the war that's going on right now in Iran, there's multiple wars going across the world, but that's the main one that's in the media. People have a fear of, nuclear war, just the whole world getting burned to a crisp. I actually see a path to a utopia of a sense through our generation. Excuse me, sorry, I was a bit of a fat bastard, and before I was making this video I said there was a bit of chocolate cake in the fridge. I had chocolate cake. I actually ended up, viewers warning, discretion, yeah. Ended up getting that up sick, and it was kind of good because I felt like I was letting out the demons in a way, But anyway, we're digressing here. I do see the future as, because there's a lot of ways, just predicting what's going to go on. My brain kind of goes into that a lot, but I can see a path to a utopia, and I can see our generation bringing that forth to the world. But we all have to unify. The power is in unity, and there's so much divide. Another talking point I had in this video is cultural divide. I'll get onto that, but for my main point, with the Gen Z just coming together and making a change, we have a unique kind of, I don't want to say outlook, we have a unique experience that we all can share, to where we were born at this kind of vital moment, to where we got the 90s kind of upbringing, and we were also born into the information age. So when we were young, so I'm talking about early Gen Z, because Gen Z is broken up into early Gen Z and late Gen Z. Like, the generations used to move at a slower pace. It's accelerating very fast right now. So someone born between 1997 to say 2004, 2005 has had a different just a different world they've grown up in a sense. From 2006 to 2011, I think the rest of Gen Z goes. The people would call them the iPad kids, but they were just born into the technological age. When we were young, computers were, not everyone had a computer. Mostly our parents and all were like, how do I use this thing? And then they just got into Facebook or whatever. And we were like, I'm 2001, so I was passed down VHS tapes from my uncles, so I was watching Rosie and Jim and just all different stuff. Or we were kind of brought up in that kind of 90s upbringing for the early points of our life, but also we were introduced to technology at a young age, and that's kind of formed our minds. Through being in the information age, we've had all this information just put through our brain from young. I remember being 6 or 7. I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, I'm not doing it. But I remember being like, a sleepover with friends, and you're watching mad videos. Like, it's just something someone's older brother showed. 2 girls, 1 cup, or just something mental. Even videos of someone get their head chopped off. And that's very, like, I think in that moment, some kids could have been traumatized from that in the moment, and then some other people would have just had it kind of in the back of their mind, to where it kind of desensitized you in a way to like stuff that's going on. And I feel like that's rapidly accelerating as well at the moment, where like I can go on the Instagram and I follow a page where it's just like, it's keeping me up to date with like the wars that's going on, or just different things, and it's just like you're in live seeing people die, and you just kind of like, you watch it and you go, Jesus, that's crazy, that's horrible. And then you're scrolling onto the next thing, and the next thing will be some brain rot meme, and you're not even thinking about it, and it's just like, you're definitely taking that in a trauma standpoint, in a traumatizing way that you're maybe not realising right away, but it definitely plays some sort of role on your mind and your soul. And I'm starting to yap here, but what I was getting back to with the renaissance, with the Gen Z, I'm seeing a lot of young people are getting back into reading, they're getting back into nature, they're just sick of the blandness of the world, the pursuit of money, the pursuit of power, the pursuit of just nothingness. And they're starting to get back into finding themselves, being there with friends, because especially like we grew up in this kind of way where it was, early days, we're growing up in the kind of the 90s, kind of still the way the 90s was, when you're in the early 2000s, and then you go into the start of the technological age where we all have laptops, and then the iPad kids, when they were growing up, like the few years on the roads, we were looking at them, and they're just like straight away from young iPad in the face. And I can't speak for them because I didn't grow up that way, so I'm not going to. But we had all this information thrown at us, we were taught the old ways in school, the for lack of a better term, the propaganda that was put upon us. This is how it is, that's how it was. And like, I know for myself anyway, I struggled in school. I didn't really find my way in school in the first kind of part. I would have been seen as a daydreamer, because while we were in a class and they're trying to teach us something, I'm looking out the window and I have this kind of world going on in my head, and you get given out there for not paying attention, not doing your work. And I just see myself as like, bad. And then I started seeing myself as a bad student, and maybe I'm just dumb, maybe I'm not smart. And that got worse as I went into secondary school. Then you get all the pressures put on you in society. You need to have everything figured out, you need this and that. And I was very much into history and science, and in first to third year, my 2 worst classes where I had a bit of a issue was history and science. Bear in mind, the history class I done well in, but I just getting into trouble. I got in trouble in loads of classes, but I was getting kicked out of science class, and I love science, and it was just the way it was taught, or the way it was brought to me then, it just didn't resonate with me. So I didn't feel like it was for me. That's a thought that's only come in. Like, as I said, I've no script of a few things I want to talk about, so I'm trying to just get this out of my brain and just see what I can say. But so struggled in school, didn't see myself smart, fell into a bit of a bad patch then at third year. I ended up just around the streets doing bad stuff, hanging around with bad people, and just losing myself. And I didn't really find a part of myself, that kind of part of myself, that I didn't even fully realise back then until last year when I was 24, and I took a camera out and I started making videos, and I just started rebelling against the system in a way where I just said, no, I'm not listening to these people anymore. Like they say, whether it be family members or just people of authority, and people are looking at me a bit weird because I'm like you're leaving this good job to, you know, pursue this thing that you don't have a full kind of, you're not definitely gonna make it. You're just, you're young. You need to start building. You need to think about security. And I'm thinking, no, I need to go towards risk. I need to go towards what I like, what I love. And a lot of that ended up falling into isolation, where I kind of just wasn't thinking the same way as everyone around me, and I just kind of not fell into myself, but definitely in a way I did, where I just stopped hanging out with some people. I stopped going out in a way where I was just not in work. And for the first while, that was hard because I didn't know. I wasn't sure. Like I knew what I wanted, and I just didn't know what was the path to getting there. And I wasn't really having conversations with people that give me an alternative way of looking at it. And over the last few weeks and the last few months, I've met so many more creatives, so many people that think alike to me, not exactly like me, but they can give different viewpoints, or they can tell me about their own experiences of how they've managed to figure out what they know, or stuff that they are pondering at the moment that they don't fully know, But I am going off a little rant here now. That's why I put the little talking points. But yeah, so back to the power and unity, the future I see. I feel like right now, and as I was saying about genontocracy, the people in power right now, they just don't have our best interests. And we're all young, us Gen Z. I'm not going to speak for millennials. I'm not going to speak for the later Gen Z, because I didn't grow up. I grew up around them, didn't grow up like them. But I know I'm speaking to my fellow Gen Zers. We have a similar kind of way we've grown up in the world, and I feel like we can all band together and make a better world for the future, not only for ourselves but the generations coming after us. Because right now the world's falling into divide, chaos. Just it's a lot of doom and gloom, and it's gotten me down a lot lately, where it's taken away from my passion, where it's making videos, where it's too much time spent on my phone looking through all these problems, and then seeing the problems, then my brain goes to solution, and I'm trying to fix the world and putting the weight of the world on my shoulders in my own time, and I'm not doing anything constructive about it. I'm just thinking, overthinking, and then I'm burnt out, and then I'm not creating. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and do you know what? I'm actually proud of myself. That's the first time I said, do you know what I mean, in this video, and that's something I just need to knock out myself. What I've learned over time is that's something I've said from not being comfortable in my environment, and not being comfortable with speaking my true thoughts, because a lot of people that I grew up around just didn't understand it, or didn't think the same way. So and I've met people that do, and I don't feel the need to say that. I don't feel the need to say, do you understand me? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Because I already know they do, in a way, if that makes sense. But yeah, I do see a utopia, and I feel like we can build it together, and that's where I was getting onto with the Renaissance. I made the Irish Renaissance video, and that was just because I was seeing other people like me, other young fellas from Ireland, just creating, just going against the grain, just wanting to do good, just wanting to build something for themselves, build something for other people. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. I really want to be a part of that, and I feel like I can be a part of that, and I want to do everything I can to be a part of that. I don't have any aspirations for financial gain or power gain. I don't want to do power grabs, nothing about that. I want to be a force of good in this world. I want to meet people that can help make that a reality, and can push me up as I push them up with me, and just grow together. So that's what I want, and that's what I feel the need to make this video to my fellow generation. I don't know. But yeah, I'm already 20 minutes on into the video, and I have not even gotten to my second point. But we're gonna keep going. So hopefully we can bring this reality to fruition. But right now it does look like it's not possible. And a lot of people I do talk to just see no hope, and that hurts me. As I said at the start of this video, I want to raise a family. I want to make a big family. I grew up as an only child. There's a lot of loneliness in that instance, and I do want that connection, and I just don't feel like I can right now with the way the world's going. But I feel like it's up to us to make the world that we can bring our children into. If you know what I mean, it's just, I said it again, because it's thought I'm fully formed. I'm not making this video to preach and tell you I know the fix. I know what we need to do. This is more me trying to get my thoughts out that I've been keeping to myself, other than the odd few conversations, and just hoping someone can be on the same page as me and maybe add to the page, bring another page. You know, I'm onto the last page, so I hope someone can be the next page. Oh, shite. 1 second. There we go. Oop. We're all good. We're all good. Technical difficulties, folks. They're trying to get in the way of my message. But yeah, went off a little brain fart there. That's alright. I've actually been having less of them now since I stopped smoking weed, and I've never really talked about that on videos, and I wasn't going to even speak about it on this, but I just said, you know, I want to be as transparent as possible, and I just want to say it's not a video about that. It's just trying to get my thoughts across. Hopefully someone can relate and we can move forward with plans and bring some good into this world. The next point I wanted to get onto is the immigration crisis, which is causing a lot of, another point I wanted to make about cultural divide. It is a big problem happening right now across Europe. 1 second, the light is going all splats. 1 second. There you go. So it's a big problem at the moment. I did watch that Citizen Vigilante movie today, which is a very hard watch because of how real it is. It may as well be a documentary in a sense. And it kind of gave me that extra push to make this video, because it's a video I've wanted to make for a while, and I didn't feel like I had the full, even though I don't have the full kind of thought behind it right now. It's just where I'm at right now. I want to get out. Hopefully some people can add to it. I can bring more conversations to me that will better my idea of it and my understanding of it. But back to the immigration crisis. I want to preface this by saying I'm not racist. It's a term that gets thrown around very loosely about everything. You know, I love every human as myself, you know. Excuse me. 1 second. Let me get a little bit of liquid. As I said, that cake ruined me, and I feel like this is a bit off topic, but I feel like I'm getting to that part now where I am choosing health over comfort in a way. You know, I'm just, even though I ate that cake, and you know, back in another day it would have been the munchies. Right now it's not. I can already feel myself having more clarity, being able to think clearer, which I love, and I feel like that will only escalate as I work on my body more and work on my health, because all I've really been focused on is mind and trying to build up my own mind and just find my own way of thinking, my own view of the world, find my morals. That was the whole kind of self-searching I was doing over the last year, and I feel like I've gotten to a good place with it, but I know there's a lot more to go. But as I was saying with the immigration crisis, it's clearly a plot, and I don't want to get too conspiratorial, even though a lot of it is just fact and it's thrown in their faces all the time. They are gaslighting the public with this. You know, it's wrong. There's no issue with immigration. It's the problem with the illegal immigration and the forced kind of divide that the government and whoever's telling them what to do is bringing into the world. You know, the Irish people didn't vote, or they didn't have a say in all these iPass centres getting built up, all of these people making millions and millions of profit from it. I think one of the videos I watched where it's like, and I knew this kind of already, but a town in the country with a population of 700 had to take in 1,800 migrants, most being single men from countries that just don't connect or don't integrate into our society whatsoever. Their morals go against it, and it's just creating this hate in the world where everybody, like, they have the people aiming their hate towards these people when it should be going up to the people who are creating these problems. And the divide is just horrible to watch, because, you know, people I would have grown up with where, you know, 5-10 years ago, they wouldn't have been like racist. I know the word's thrown out very lightly, but like, they have these kind of hateful kind of thoughts, and I don't look down at them for that, or I don't judge them for that. I know it's just their way of processing what's going on, and I try my hardest to go away from that and try look at it with a different perspective. You know, I do think immigration is good, and when people want to immigrate to a country because they want to be a part of the culture and they want to build a society up together, and they want to respect the culture in a way. You know, when I go on holidays, I don't go around, you know, trying to push my Irishness onto them. I love getting knee deep into the culture and just seeing what's going on and just learning more about it. And I think that's beautiful. And I think a lot of people share that outlook. But right now it's just problem after problem. You come onto social media and it's, you know, another attack, and then the media are attacking the people who are calling it out, calling them far right, racist, fascists. A lot of these terms without any well thought analysis put into it, you know, just this, that, blah, 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 left, right, all this nonsense. And it's creating a divide, especially within our own culture. You know, we should be supporting each other and bringing each other up and sharing a love for our culture. But a lot of people are just seeing their culture die and just be gone and just fade away, and there's nothing we can do about it. But there's a lot we can do about it by having these conversations and bringing these problems to the limelight and saying, right, this isn't going right, what can we do to better it? And, you know, both sides have a part to play in that, because we have to take responsibility for our own actions and our own thought processes, even though it can be pushed upon us from, you know, whatever we've had put onto us. I'm rambling here now, that's not a really great articulate point that I've made. I'm just kind of going off here now. The immigration crisis, I don't have the solutions for it. It's just a very, very prominent issue in my country anyway, and across Europe, and I just felt the need to speak on it. I just don't want division, I want unity, and I feel like right now what's getting pushed is just a division. It's not good. And like, I'm gonna bring it back to the genontocracy. It's the people who are making these decisions don't have the best interest of our people or our culture or just our planet. Like, you know, I haven't gotten too much into the environmental issues. It just hasn't been something that's interested me too much as I do love nature, and I've gotten a big love for animals. You know, I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, I've nothing against people like that. I love meat, I love eating meat. I've never been hunting, but I would like to do it at some point, but it wouldn't be to just needlessly kill an animal. It'd be a bit of a ritualistic kind of thing to me in a way, and I know that word can probably rub some people up the wrong way because of these groups of people, these cults where rituals are just, you know, a bad kind of context. But taking a bow out and killing the deer and having to gut and skin and then cook and eat, it's the way I just see it is it's a bit of a, you're not just killing for the laugh, or, you know, even though that's the way I could see him, but you're doing it to feed yourself, but it's also giving respect to the animal. This is a point, like, there's going to probably be a few times in this where it's like not really well thought opinions, just kind of rambling here now, and I'm going all around the place and I'm starting to kind of scramble my brain, so I'm going to go away from that point. But yeah, it's something I haven't really fully thought, but it's just, I've just felt like it was relevant in a sense, but maybe it's not so much, so apologies for that. And we're gonna move on because I'm after just losing myself there. So I have a lot of things to talk about. We're already 30 minutes into this video. I've talked about the Irish Renaissance and Gen Z Renaissance. I've kind of pieced that all in together. But I'd love for us just to come together and find solutions. We all have different worldviews. We all have different niches that we love and we get into. And for some reason we also have the tendency to like fight over them. You know, we try to push our opinions onto other people and our interests that might be the opposite of others. We just see them as the enemy when we shouldn't see anyone as our enemy. Only our brother, our sister, our, you know, our like, as a human, we should all see one another as the same. And bringing it back, sorry, I was getting there to the environmental apart for 1 second, sorry. The environmental issues, that's where I was going before I went on a big rant. When I was talking about the genontocracy. They're just like no care for the land, you know. Even like we bring it over to the Amazon where they're cutting down trees and they're just getting rid of this beautiful landscape that we should be respecting. You know, I don't conform to any religion, but I do see us all as connected through energy. I feel like we're connected to the trees, we're connected to the couch I'm sitting on here now, even though it's not a sentient being. The neutrons and everything that it's made up of is energy, and it's the same. It's, you know, I'm going into a whole kind of thing there, but we do need to respect this land, and the world we're kind of going into is no, it's just, especially with the, like, you know, the energy crisis that just happened, where we're like burning all these fuels, all these fossil fuels, and we're see, this is the problem. I haven't delved too deep into environmentalism. I was just kind of saying this is off of what I've kind of seen or observed in my own kind of time, that I probably shouldn't talk about this without having a fully formed thought about it, but I'm just riffing here, no script, just talking, just hopefully starting a conversation to where we can build and grow from. But yeah, I just see the people in power, they just don't care. And what I was going back to, where with Gen Z, we're starting to go out in nature, we're starting to read, we're starting to learn, we're starting to grow together, even though some of it may be separate. A lot of my growing was through isolation, but the times where I've grew the most is through sitting down and talking to someone who just shares some sort of values with me, or shares some thought process with me, and we don't see it the same eye to eye. We have similar kind of outlooks, and we can learn from each other's different opinions or outlooks. I'm using the same words over and over again, but we're getting to that point now where I've been talking for 32 minutes and hope you're still listening, you know. But yeah, it's just, I just feel like we need to do something. You know what I mean? We need to band together. We just need to do something. I don't know what that is. I don't have a solution. I'm kind of talking about problems right now. I feel like hopefully some sort of solutions have come out of this rant. But back to the nature, it's just, you know, all the buildings that we're surrounded by, when you look back to like the old buildings that were built hundreds, thousands of years ago, and the beautiful architecture that goes into it, just the craftsmanship inspires you. You walk through a town where they're just old buildings and they're just beautiful. Like when I was walking through Frankfurt last year, it was just like a lot of beautiful architecture that just really inspired me. It's the same with nature. When I go out on a walk up the mountains, I'm lucky. I'm living in Jobstown in Tala, which, you know, most people say you're lucky you live in Jobstown, but we're surrounded by mountains. We're surrounded by the Wicklow Mountains, and we can go down into that, walk through the forests, walk up the mountain, have a little overlook over that, and it just brings inspiration to you. It lights a spark in you, and I feel like we need more of that. But if I walk into town now, and it's all the same looking buildings, even though there's some that are beautiful and there's the odd one, but modern day architecture is built more for utility rather than inspiration. Would that be the word to use? Because it would inspire me, but you know where I'm kind of getting with that, I hope. And I feel like we need to focus in on that more going forward and stop this blandness that we're bringing to the world, because the world is beautiful and people are stuck in it. When you're stuck in traffic, it's just, you know, it's like, who wants to sit in traffic and just wait, and it just drives you up the wrong way, you know what I mean? It's just probably a bad analogy, or is that even an analogy? I'm getting to this point now where to be honest, I've been trying to make this video for a few hours now, and I've just been kind of avoiding taking the camera out in a sense, because it's a video that's very important to me. It's something that I really want to say and I really want to bring. It's completely different to my usual videos where it's, you know, you're asking me a question in a Q&A and I'm answering it, and it could be about a mad subject, because I like to talk about anything. I feel like I've been asked about some serious subjects and I just didn't really give a full kind of debrief on what I was thinking. It just kind of beat around the bush in a sense, even though I've said some outrageous things, and, you know, some of the things I might have said where it was just even when it's like, you know, problems with the government, where like I can find myself, and it's due to my environment, we just kind of say things in a very, aggressive wouldn't be the word I'd probably use, but you know, when I see like the disrespect that they're giving to our people, and just the absolute small-mindedness, I just go with, like, they're terrorists, they're traitors to our thing, and that's just not a constructive way of going about it. You know what I mean? I'm making a song at the moment. The first part of it is a government diss, and the second part is all about power and unity. So the first part's rapping, government diss, and I've been able to write it in a way to where I'm not falling towards I'm not falling towards a kind of derogatory way of saying it, you know, where it's just going fuck them, blah blah blah. There's no cursing. I think the wordplay is, is creative. It's well thought. It's laying out the issues without, even though I will be bringing emotion into the delivery in a way, you know, and this, but not in a, you know, where I'm going, they're fucking us over, blah blah blah. You know, it's just kind of letting the emotion come out of my voice. It's probably a better way of saying it. And the second part's all about power and unity. So I'm bringing up a problem, and I'm laying out the solution. Now I'm not pretending to have all the solutions, or having all the, I'm not pretending to have the solutions, but it is a solution, the obvious solution in a way. Power and unity, it's the obvious solution. And I'm hoping it can be catchy. I'm hoping it can be uplifting. It's my take on a modern day rebel song in a way, you know. It's just, you know, with all these problems I was saying, you can get into yourself a little bit, where it's just, you know, you can fall into that nihilistic view of the world where you're just like, there's no hope. It's just like problem after problem. It's like, all right, what can I do here now? Rather than sitting around and moaning about it or having no solutions, what can I really do right now? I'd like to see myself as an artist. I'm growing as an artist. Right, let's funnel that energy into an art form through music and see what I can do. Hopefully it can bring people together. That's the plan with it. And hopefully it can lay out some issues that I'm seeing in a more, I feel like I'm using a lot of words over again, but like in a constructive way, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Jesus, Ken. The camera's starting to die and my energy is starting to die, so apologies. But what else did I have that I wanted to talk about? So I had self-education written down. So I've been self-educating myself, as I said earlier, where I just didn't gel well with school, and I didn't read when I was in school. But I read like the Hunger Games. I don't even think I finished it. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the Harry Potter books, but like just kind of whatever, you know. It was good books back then, but didn't read for so much in my life. And then I started reading, and that started from, you know, the pressures that I had on myself to like find myself as a man, to build up a career to where I could sort all the financial problems that my family have. And I started reading books on finances, where I read The Psychology of Money, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you know, just different books like that. A lot of non-fiction books to where I was trying to just learn something that can help me, but it didn't really, even though it kind of did. And what I mean by that is I haven't financially bettered myself, but it started me down the path of getting to that point where I started reading then, and then I swapped out the financial books to more philosophical books, where I read, you know, The Prince by Machiavelli, and I read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, where, you know, different worldviews, and they're completely different in a way, even though they're from two people in the same country. That's what they have in common, probably, basically. But where was I going with that? So yeah, but just self-educating myself, you know, started reading all these different books, and then for so long I was just reading non-fiction books, and I started to read some fiction books, and I was reading non-fiction books to better my worldview and better my mind and train my mind, but I actually learned more, I feel like, from fiction than I did from non-fiction. And to digress from books, from anime, which I would have looked at when I was younger, going, that's weird, why would people watch an anime? But I watched Naruto, and I felt a connection with that character, and a lot of his viewpoints, a lot of just, you know, not just him, just the side characters and different lessons that were brought, the people that were teaching him, learning along the way. And then I went on to watch One Piece, and that completely accelerated. I just felt such a connection with Luffy as a character, as a person. Myself, I'm always been the type of person who wants to bring people up around me, and I always see the best in people. I want to encourage their passion. I want to encourage them as a person. I want to encourage their dreams. And that's exactly what Luffy embodies. And the thing that also I got out of that was the going against authority, you know. I always did when I was in school, in a sense where I was just like, you know, questioned authority and that. And it wasn't in a way to where it was like, you know, better than me or better than them. It was just a kid just trying to figure shit out and just having his way with the world. But watching One Piece really accelerated my journey into the it just accelerated my journey to be a better person, bring some good change in the world. You know, Luffy's a little kid and his dream is to be the king of the pirates, and everyone else in the world sees the king of the pirates as someone who rules over everyone, but he sees it as the person who is most free, and all he wants to do is become king of the pirates so he can bring freedom to his friends. And then when you get later on to the show, spoiler alert, he becomes Joy Boy, who he always was meant to be, and he's the warrior of liberation, the sun god Nika. And that just inspired me to just become that, in a sense, be a warrior of liberation, be a bringer of joy to the world, you know. Just all these people that are bringing these problems, you know, the older generations, the people in power, the elites. I'm a youngster from Jobstown. What can I really do? I have no power. How can I fight against that? But having the belief in myself that I can do something, or at least go along the path where I can bring that closer to reality. And I feel like making a video like this can be some sort of a way of getting there. But that anime inspired my song, which is called The Drums of Liberation. And I'm calling out the people who are creating this mess, and I'm bringing a solution with it. I'm referencing myself as Joy Boy in it. It's a whole kind of thing, but that'll be coming out soon. I'm looking forward to bringing that to you. The camera's starting to die, so I do need to kind of wrap this up a little bit. I don't know if I got everything I wanted to talk about on, but I think I talked about a good bit. We're on 42 minutes into this video, and I'm usually putting the camera down and shy talk and having a laugh. Hopefully it made you laugh a little bit in this. Hopefully it brought some sort of a joy. Hopefully it brought just a different way of thinking to you. Hopefully I just want to inspire. Same with the message I got from watching One Piece was just to inspire. I want to inspire. I want to inspire the younger generation. Even with my videos, I'm putting on lessons that I never learned, that people didn't teach me, and I only learned at a later stage that I wish I had learned. And I don't live life with regret, but I know I would have been such a better person if I learned these earlier. So that's all I want to do, is I want to just bring solutions and no problems. Instead of sitting around moaning, I want to bring solutions. And I hope we can do that together. I hope we can bring on this new renaissance, whatever way you want to call it. I think it's renaissance. I'm calling it renaissance, but yeah. That's my dream. Just for all of us to just bring utopia to the world. And I feel like we can. And I hope after watching this inspires you to hopefully try bring about some sort of change, whether it be tiny scale, just helping someone during the day, you know, just getting yourself out of taking yourself out of your own kind of problems and way of thinking that you don't particularly believe in yourself, but society has kind of merged into your way of thinking. You know, I'm going to finish this on one thing. Your thoughts don't control you, you control them. So go behind them. When you're letting your brain, which is a random processor, just fire off with all these things, it's telling you your shit, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's just your brain randomly throwing stuff at you. You don't believe it, it's not factual, it's just what's thrown at you. So come behind it. Why am I thinking that? Where did it come from? And you start to de-weaponize them thoughts and start to be able to form your own way of thinking. And I think that's very important. I was falling too much into the individualistic way of thinking, where I'm just thinking about me and my thoughts too much, but we need to come together and go away from that, especially with COVID, the pandemic. It put us all into isolation and all. We really separated from each other, and we're starting to heal from that a little bit. And I feel like there's a lot more healing to go, and I hope this video can spark some sort of a change. I'm just rambling here now, so I'm going to end this with, this is backwards, but the new chapter begins. I'll be getting a new journal, and I'll be starting a whole new kind of part of my life. I'm going to finish this, get this edited, and I'm going to go to bed, because I'll be starting filming for my first film. That's coming out soon. Can't wait to bring that to you. Yeah, I'm delighted to have gotten that off my chest. It wasn't fully formed, as I said. I believe in a lot of what I said. Some of it I don't fully understand yet. But that's what growing's all about. That's what just your own journey is going to bring you. It's going to bring you your own lessons. I'm starting to believe in that everything happens for a reason, and that's not to take away from free will, but there has been a few instances over the last week specifically where life kind of took me on a different path to where I wanted it in that moment, but I learned so much in that digression. Is digression the right word? But that kind of I think digression is the right word. Is not what I'm trying to get with. That brought what I was originally meant to do more clarity, and I'm starting to just trust the process more. I've preached that to a lot of people. Just trust the process. Trust the process. I've been making videos for just over a year now. I've made a lot of videos, and I haven't had much return financially or numbers wise and analytics wise, but people I've met, people I've inspired in small numbers, have just brought so much change and so much happiness and so much potential in me and my view of the world. And I can't wait to see where the next part of my journey goes. So I'm going to end this with, I love you all. I can't wait for this next chapter, and I can't wait to see us on the next chapter as well. But we're going to focus on the new chapter now, so we'll see where it goes. I'm going to trust the process. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I like to live in the moment as much as I think so much into the future. And I used to think too much into the future from my own way. Now it's more in a world way, in respect to the world. I think that's the way I'm trying to say. I'm just all fumbled now, but yeah, because it would be geopolitical problems, national problems, just loads of problems that I'm just putting on my own shoulders now. I can't fix them all, even though I'd love to be able to fix them all. I'd love to have the solutions. I see some solutions, and I love talking to people about the solutions, and hopefully let me know in the comments if you have any solutions, any thoughts on what I said. And that was a lot to digest. Excuse me. Oh, that's all the demons coming out. That's just you're shy talking here now, Kim. But yeah, love you all. Thanks for watching. It's been different. Hopefully I'm going to have more to add to this on the next episode of Cian just rants, and hopefully it makes a bit of change. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Cian rants, and hopefully makes a bit of change. Thank you for watching.